Hi, IBM ODM is a business rules management system. ODM stands for Operational Decision Manager. It is made of two packages, Decision Server and Decision Center. Decision Server is aimed for IT people. It is made of Rule Designer, which is a heavy client application, and this Rule Designer has to be used at the very beginning of the project to create the data structure, which means the set of business entities that represent the rules vocabulary, the rule dictionary that will be used during the rules edition. This final rule service can be integrated within the system by different means, different integration patterns in a synchronous way or in an asynchronous way. Decision Server also contains a web application called Decision Server Console, and from this console we can monitor the rules engine's execution in order to get some statistic such as the maximum duration, minimum duration, average duration, and so on. The second package is called Decision Center and is aimed for business people. This Decision Center package contains a web application called Business Console, and the business team use the Business Console in order to work in a collaborative way in order to edit, test, simulate, deploy. Editing means creation, modification, or deletion of rules. During the testing phase, the business team will be able to create scenario data, and for each scenario, the expected result. During the simulation, they will create dashboard and then specify the set of data that will be used for the simulation, as well as a set of business KPIs that will somehow evaluate the efficiency of the rule service. And when they are satisfied with the validation test and the simulation, they can deploy. And all these activities from edition to deployment can be done with any help, any assistance from the IT team. The use case that we'll be considering for this demonstration is the loan validation use case, very common use case for the business rules management domain, and we consider that we have an application either from the front back office channel or the call center channel or even the internet channel that send a set of data to a rule service, and this rule service executes a set of business rules upon this data in order to generate a final result. The input data are the name, credit score, the yearly income from the applicant, and then the amount, duration, and the yearly interest from the loan itself. And the generated result is a Boolean indicating whether the application has been accepted or rejected, and a set of messages that somehow justify this final result. Now, connected to the business console within the Decision Center package, if we click on the Library tab, we can see the set of decision services that are available in this instance. We have to choose the mini loan service. So we just click on the main branch and we can see here the contents of the mini loan service. This first tab here, Decision Artifact, shows all the artifacts within the decision service called mini loan service. As you can see here on the left, we have a tree view that lists all the different artifacts. The first one is the operation. The operation is somehow the function or the service that is called from outside. When we call this service in order to execute the rule service called the mini loan, we have to send the borrower object and the loan object as input data, and the result, the output, will also be, as we said, a Boolean saying that it is accepted or rejected, and a set of messages. And this Boolean and the set of messages are stored in the loan project. That's why the loan is as well as input and output. It is input because it contains the amount, the duration, and the interest rate, and then it contains also the output. The rule source is in fact the rules vocabularies that have been created at the beginning by the IT team, and this third artifact here is the rule flow. In fact, the rule flow is somehow the most important artifact because it shows how the rules organization is organized. At the beginning, we execute validation rules, and if the data are considered as validated, we can pursue the execution by executing eligibility rules. Otherwise, we just stop the execution. This is done by the rule flow, and this term rule flow comes from the term workflow that we have in the BPM domain. Here we have the set of parameters that are used by the business rules, borrower and loan, the eligibility rules, we have 3 eligibility rules, and the validation rules. So if we come back on the rule flow in order to understand how the rule execution are going to be organized, at the very beginning, this is a starting point, we have a link, an unconditional link. There is no condition associated with this link because it's just the beginning of the execution. But here, after having executed the validation rules, we can see here that we have a conditional link that say we pass by this link here only if the loan is approved. Otherwise, we just pass by this other link and stop the execution. If you take a look at the validation rules, there's only one validation rules, and this validation rules say that if the amount of the loan is more than 1 million, then we reject the loan and we add a message in the list of messages that say the loan cannot exceed 1 million. And if we click on this pen here, we go to the modification interface, and from here you can see that it's very easy to create textual business rules because you have assistants that show you what you can do regarding the place where you have your cursor. And then you can see here that the different phrases that we can use to write textual business rules. The keyword if indicate the beginning of the condition. Here we have one condition, but you can have more than one condition with the or and keyword, and the keyword then here shows this beginning of the action section. If we come back on the rule flow, when the input data, the amount in the input data is less than 1 million, then we can go on to the eligibility rules. We have 3 eligibility rules. The first one about the credit score, the second one about the yearly income, and the last one about the combination of repayment, yearly repayment, and credit score. And this is, as you can see, the icon here is different because this is a decision table. Here it is textual, and here it's a table. If you click on the minimum score, the rule says that if the minimum score of the borrower is less than 200, then we reject the loan with a message saying that the credit score is too low, meaning it's below 200. Second eligibility rules about the minimum income. If the yearly repayment of the loan is more than 30% by the yearly income borrower, then we reject the loan with a message too big debt to income ratio. If the yearly repayment for the loan is more than 30% of the yearly income, that's not good, then that's why we reject the loan. The last and final eligibility rules, which is a decision table. In fact, decision table is a way to combine several textual rules. You can see here that each line of the decision table is in fact a textual rule. So if we have several textual rules, here it's 7 in fact, that use in fact the same structure, here debt to income, credit score, and then approval and messages. It's better to combine them within one artifact, which is a decision table, instead of having them separately managed in a textual way. So here we have 3 lines that approve the loan request, and 3 others that reject the loan. For example, if the debt to income ratio is between 0 and 30, and the credit score is between 200 and 800, this is the case where we accept the request without any message. Yeah. Now moving to the third tab, which is the test tab, we have defined a test suite. And if you take a look at this test suite, it is made of the association with an Excel file where we have defined our test scenarios, and we can select a set of information to be displayed after the rules execution, such as the number of rules that have been fired, the list of rules that has been fired, and the duration, the whole duration of the rules execution. And if you take a look at the Excel file, we have defined 2 scenarios. One that we have called rejected loan, because we accept this loan to be rejected, and the other one that we have called approved loan, because we expect this loan to be approved. And then the first scenario is made of the name, the credit score, the euro income of the borrower, and for the loan itself, we have defined 500,000 of the loan. This will be validated, because if you remember, the threshold for the validation is 1 million, the duration is 240, and the euro interest rate is 5%. The other scenario is made of John also, but with a better credit score, the same euro income, amount for the loan which is lower, the same duration, and the same euro interest rate. Now, if you go back to the business console and we ask for the execution of this test suite, it takes a while because it is the first execution. We click on the report and we can see here the summary saying that we had 2 scenarios and all of them succeed. 0 failed. And if you take a look at the details of the execution, it says that the execution for the first scenario took 11 milliseconds. The number of rules that have been fired, we have just 2 rules that have been fired. The list of these rules, if you click on the details, we can see no validation rules has been fired, but we have 3 eligibility rules that have been fired. Okay, this explains why this loan is not accepted. Okay, and we can see here the comparison between our expected result as specified here in this Excel file and the values that have been found by the rule engine. They are exactly the same. Regarding the second one, it has been accepted. If you take a look at the execution details, the duration is lower. Now it took just 2 milliseconds because the business rule has been now stored in memory. The number of rules fired, no rules, no validation rule, no eligibility rules. That's why it has been accepted. If you take a look at the list of the rules that have been fired, there's no rules fired. That's explain why the loan has been approved. Now moving to the 4th tab, which is the simulation tab. Let's say that we want to end up with this kind of dashboard where we have a first graph representing the granted loan by amount. As you can see here, when the amount is close to 30,000, we have something like 100% of acceptance. Let's say that we want to have some information such as the minimum granted loan amount, average granted loan amount, maximum granted loan amount, and we want to see the granted loan by yearly income is somehow close to this one. This one is granted loan by amount, and this one is granted loan by yearly income. And you see here that if the yearly income is high and the level of acceptance is also higher. Okay, and now we want to see also the granted loan by credit score. As you can see here, when we reach 600 of credit score, we have a big part of acceptance compared to the others. No acceptance for 500 and no accent for one, because I mean I think we have less people that have 1,000 credit scores. That's why it doesn't appear here. Let's say that we want to have this kind of dashboard. Okay, this is the kind of dashboard that can be produced with ODM, with this business rules management software. But if we want to have more elaborated dashboard, then we have to use business intelligence dedicated software. For sure, after each business rule service execution, we can store the input data and the output data either in the database or in a Kafka platform, so that the business intelligence software can use data from this storage, either database or Kafka and so on, and then produce and then their own dashboard. This is the dashboards that can be generated within LDM. And how to get this kind of dashboard? We have to go through all these steps. First, we have to create what we call metrics. We want to measure, the amount by credit score. Then we have to create this dimension credit score. Very simple. We can take a look at the modification, and then say the credit score of the borrower. It's very, very simple to create this kind of a metric. You have just to list all the metric we have, and then we just specify its type, whether it is numeric, that time, and so on. We do the same for all the others metrics here: the granted loan, the granted loan amount, the loan amount, and the yearly income. And then we define KPIs as average. And when you click on the KPI here, we use average or sum and so on. And we can create KPIs such as granted loan by yearly income, and then we'll group with 1,000 interval and so on. After this step, we create the data that will be used for the simulation. We can use database for that, or Excel file, just like for the simulation, for the tests. For the tests that I have shown, we just use Excel file to do the testing, but we can use also database. So here we use a very simple Excel file for the simulation with more scenarios than the Excel files that have been used for the test. We have 16 scenarios. We can have more than that. We can have hundreds, thousands of millions of scenarios. The tool support this size of data. And then the report format is where we define what we want to have in the dashboard. So as you can see here, the dashboard is divided by several sections. We have created the first section that we call approve. In this section, we want to display the ratio of granted loan and the ratio of granted loan by amount. In another section, we just want to show the amount. In another section, the yearly income by the granted load by your income, and you can here choose the kind of graphic that we will use for that. It's same thing for the granted loan by credit score. As you can see here, we can select pie, line, area, or bar, okay, in order to display that. And we have here the list of scenarios that we have created, and we just drag and drop the scenarios in order to display them and to make them part of the final dashboard. Okay, just confirm here. Once it is done, the simulation is made of, in fact, the dashboard that we have created and the input data. Once we combine both of them, dashboard, input data, we just run the simulation, and then it will produce a report. Okay, and then the report will take a while, because it consists in executing each line within the scenario list. And we have also the possibility to compare this report with another one. If we have defined, let's say, if we have changed the rules between two simulation, we can do what we call the champion challenger in order to identify which version of the rules better fit our needs, better optimize the KPI that we have defined.